A smile across the room. A glance that lingers a little longer than it should. A playful touch on the arm. For a man, it may feel like a doorway opening, a secret invitation into a woman's hidden world. But then the door shuts. The interest vanishes. She returns to her life as if nothing happened. Why does this happen? Why would a woman flirt with a man she never planned to let close? Flirting is often seen as a game of attraction, but in the shadows of psychology, it is much more than that. It can be a tool, a shield, even a weapon. Sometimes it is conscious, other times it is instinct. It can create desire where there is none, control where there is no power, safety where there is fear. Beneath the surface of a smile lies centuries of evolutionary design, social conditioning, and raw human need. This is not about blaming or shaming. It is about revealing the subtle forces that shape human behavior. Because to understand why women sometimes flirt without interest, we must step into the darker corners of psychology where truth is uncomfortable, but necessary. If you stay with me until the end of this video, you will see how something as simple as a smile can carry power, danger, and meaning far deeper than it first appears. From the beginning of human history, survival has shaped behavior in ways most people never notice. In the earliest tribes, women often found themselves surrounded by danger, wild animals, rival tribes, unpredictable men. Attraction was not only about romance. It was about protection, resources, and safety. A smile, a glance, or a soft laugh could be more than a sign of interest. It could be a signal to reduce threat, to gain favor, or to create a bond that might keep danger away. What may look like simple flirting today often carries the shadow of those survival instincts. Charles Darwin wrote about sexual selection, how certain traits evolve because they increase chances of survival or reproduction. For men, strength, dominance, and confidence were often selected. For women, the ability to influence, to calm, to draw support without open conflict, became valuable. Flirting, in this sense, was never only about desire. It was also a silent negotiation of power and protection. Think about it, in a world without police, without laws, without social rules, a woman's ability to signal interest, even if it was not real, could save her life. She could calm aggression, avoid rejection that might turn violent, or secure food and shelter. In modern times, this instinct still lingers, hidden inside the smallest gestures. A woman may smile at a stranger not because she wants him, but because her nervous system has learned over generations that smiling can disarm danger. Sigmund Freud often spoke of unconscious drives shaping behavior beyond awareness. A woman today may not realize why she flirts with a man she does not desire. She may simply feel the need to be pleasant, to keep the interaction safe, to maintain control in a subtle way. Carl Jung went even deeper, describing their shadow within human behavior, the hidden motives and instincts that guide us even when we believe we are acting freely. The shadow of evolution whispers in these moments. Consider the workplace example. A young woman laughs at her manager's unfunny joke. To the outside eye, it may look like attraction. But behind that laugh is calculation, sometimes unconscious. She may feel the need to keep the manager pleased to avoid conflict, to protect her position, or to ensure opportunities. In another case, at a crowded bar, a woman may smile and speak sweetly to a man she has no interest in, simply to prevent escalation, to avoid insult, or to make her exit easier. This does not mean flirting without interest is deceitful. It means that human psychology is layered, shaped by thousands of years of survival. Flirting has never been a simple signal of romance. It is often an ancient language of safety, power, an adaptation that modern people still speak without realizing it. Human beings are social creatures, and every interaction is part of a silent game. In this game, men and women do not only exchange words. They exchange status, approval, and influence. Flirting, even when there is no attraction, often functions as a move in this hidden game. Women may use it to test boundaries, to manage social energy, or to place themselves in a stronger position within a group. Think about a crowded party. A woman may lean closer to a man, touch his arm lightly, and smile, even if she does not want anything romantic. Why? because these small acts shift the energy of the group. Men may compete for her attention, giving her a higher social position. Other women may notice, and this too changes the balance. In such situations, flirting is less about the man in front of her and more about the audience around her. Social psychology calls this impression management, the careful crafting of how others see us. Nietzsche once wrote that human beings crave not only survival but power. He described life itself as a struggle for influence, for the ability to shape one's world. In modern life, raw strength is no longer the currency. Social influence is. And flirting is one of the subtle tools that women can use to gain that influence. It is not always conscious. It can be as natural as breathing. There is also the element of validation. Every human being, regardless of gender, seeks to be noticed, appreciated, and admired. For some women, flirting without interest becomes a way to feed this hunger for recognition. A compliment, a lingering gaze, a playful exchange, it does not mean she desires the man, but it gives her proof that she is seen, valued, and alive in the eyes of others. Psychologists call this external validation. Without it, people can feel invisible, unwanted, or powerless. But the darker side of this social game is manipulation. Not every act of flirting is innocent. Some women may use it as a deliberate strategy to control, to distract, or to extract benefits. A free drink, a ride home, a lighter workload, small rewards can be gained by signals of interest that never reach the level of true desire. This is not always malicious. It is often survival in another form, adapted to a society where physical danger may have been replaced by social and economic struggles. The man, on the other side, may misread these signals. What he thinks is the start of romance may actually be nothing more than a move in the game. This is where pain begins. Expectations rise, only to collapse. Freud warned that much of human suffering comes not from reality itself but from false hopes and unmet desires. In flirting without interest, this pattern repeats. One person seeks power or safety, the other expects love or intimacy. The clash leaves both wounded in different ways. When words fall short, emotions take over. Flirting, even when it hides no real desire, plays directly with emotional triggers. It pulls on ancient strings inside the human brain. For men, these signals touch on hope, pride, and longing. For women, they touch on safety, self-worth, and control. The exchange may seem small, but the emotions it awakens can be vast. Think of a young man who has always felt unseen. When a woman laughs at his joke, touches his hand, or gives him a warm look, his chest fills with fire. He believes he has been chosen, that at last someone sees him. Even if her actions are not driven by attraction, his brain interprets them as an invitation. Dopamine, the chemical of reward, surges through him. This is why false signals of intimacy can be so powerful, they ignite the same pathways as genuine love. On the woman's side, the act of flirting can soothe insecurities. If she feels doubtful about her beauty, her charm, or her place in the world, the attention she draws acts like medicine. It confirms her worth. She may not even be aware that she is using men's responses to heal inner wounds. Jung would call this the shadow, the part of the self that hides unmet needs and secret fears. Flirting becomes a way for the shadow to speak without words. But the danger lies in the cycle this creates. The man invests emotions where there is no real ground. He begins to imagine a future, to read deeper meaning into simple gestures. The woman, on the other hand, may not intend to hurt, but she enjoys the attention and struggles to stop. The cycle continues until it cracks. For the man, the discovery feels like betrayal. For the woman, it may feel like guilt or indifference, depending on her intent. There is another layer too, control. Flirting can shift power in subtle ways. A woman who smiles and teases may lead a man into chasing her approval. He starts adjusting his behavior, seeking her laughter, her eyes, her touch. Without realizing it, he begins to bend around her presence. She becomes the center of his focus, even if she never asked for that role. The control is soft, but it is real. And in psychology, soft control is often more effective than hard commands, because the one being influenced believes it was his own choice. For many men, this experience leaves scars. They learn not to trust signals, not to believe smiles, not to hope. Some grow bitter, others grow cautious. A few even repeat the cycle in reverse, using charm without intent as a form of defense. In this way, a game that began as harmless validation can transform into a chain of mistrust stretching across lives. Behind every flirtation that carries no true desire lies a deeper psychological current. On the surface, it may look like a playful smile, a gentle touch on the arm, or a quick compliment. But beneath those actions, there are entire histories of unmet needs, hidden fears, and unconscious drives. To understand why women sometimes engage in this, we need to look at psychology not as cold theory, but as a mirror into human pain and longing. Sigmund Freud once said that human behavior often comes not from what we admit, but from what we repress. For some women, harmless flirting masks loneliness, disappointment, or even past rejection. They may carry wounds from childhood, perhaps from a father who was distant, critical, or absent. The attention of men becomes a silent way of filling that void, of rewriting an old story where they felt invisible. The irony is that these women may not even want the men they engage with. What they want is the feeling of being wanted. Carl Jung described this as projection, the human tendency to cast inner needs onto others. A woman who does not feel valued may project her longing onto the men she teases. She is not trying to deceive, yet she is unconsciously asking for medicine in the wrong place. In this sense, the flirtation is not about the man at all. It is about her private dialogue with herself, acted out through someone else's attention. But we must not reduce it all to wounds. Sometimes, flirting without intent is tied to power. In social settings, power is not always who speaks the loudest or earns the most. Power can be as simple as whose gaze others chase. In bars, offices, or classrooms, a woman may use charm without realizing it as a shield against vulnerability, or as a tool to shape how she is treated. A smile softens a demand. A laugh disarms tension. A playful glance turns away suspicion. These are not calculated manipulations in every case. Often, they are survival strategies learned in a world where women are judged for both silence and boldness. Real-life examples show how complex this can be. A woman may flirt with a colleague she has no attraction to, not because she wants romance, but because she fears conflict and believes charm will make her workplace smoother. Another may respond to a stranger's attention with playful banter, not out of interest, but out of politeness, habit, or fear of seeming cold. Each situation has layers that words alone may never reveal. The darker side appears when these patterns are repeated without awareness. Men may invest emotions that lead nowhere. Women may become trapped in cycles of validation that never satisfy. Both sides leave with scars, one from feeling misled, the other from never resolving the emptiness within. In truth, flirting without intent is rarely about cruelty. It is about humanity's endless struggle between desire for connection and fear of vulnerability. It shows how even light-hearted gestures can carry the weight of unspoken battles. The story of flirtation without true intent reaches its end not with accusation, but with reflection. For behind every smile that misleads and every playful word that stirs confusion, there lies the oldest conflict of human nature, the tension between honesty and protection. Women who flirt without desire are not always predators of the heart, nor are men always victims of games. Instead, both are participants in a psychological dance where needs, fears, and unspoken wounds intertwine. When we strip away appearances, we see a paradox. Women often hide their true intentions because vulnerability feels dangerous. To say, "I am not interested," risks rejection or hostility. To reveal loneliness feels unsafe. So the safer path becomes the lighter mask of flirtation, a smile that shields the truth. Nietzsche once warned that people wear masks not only to deceive others, but to survive themselves. In this way, flirtation can be less about power and more about self-preservation. For men, the experience can be deeply confusing. A glance feels meaningful. A conversation feels charged. Expectations rise, only to collapse under the weight of silence later. Yet even this disappointment teaches a profound lesson. It teaches men not to take every signal at face value, to question their own assumptions, and to understand that desire is not always mirrored back. In a sense, this pain sharpens perception. It forces one to look beyond surface charm and to see the inner conflicts that drive human behavior. The real danger is not in the flirtation itself, but in the silence that follows it. If a woman never asks why she seeks attention she does not want, she may spend her life chasing validation without finding peace. If a man never reflects on why he attaches meaning so quickly to gestures, he may keep falling into disappointment. Both must confront their shadows, the hidden part of themselves that Jung described. For the woman, it might be the fear of rejection. For the man, it might be the hunger for affirmation. Both shadows need light. Healing begins when awareness replaces instinct. When a woman recognizes that her flirtation is born not from attraction but from insecurity, she can seek healthier ways to feel seen, through self-worth, not borrowed attention. When a man learns to slow his interpretations and seek clarity, he frees himself from the trap of misplaced hope. In this shift, both sides reclaim power, not over each other, but over themselves. Every small interaction between men and women carries unseen ripples. A smile can build trust or break it. A word can wound or heal. What seems like play can awaken hidden wounds, but it can also awaken awareness. Perhaps this is the lesson hidden in the dark psychology of flirtation without intent, that human connections are fragile mirrors of inner truths. If we wish to avoid confusion and pain, we must first confront what lies within us, because the most subtle influence always begins in silence, inside the human heart.